everyone, welcome back. In today's lesson, we're going to talk about supply. Last time we looked at demand and what are some of the things that go into that and how consumers deal with demand for goods. This time we're going to flip it on its head and look from the producer aspect and what happens when a producer wants to sell a good and what does it mean to have true supply of a good. So make sure you're in your interactive notebook and you're following along. Okay, so again, we're talking about supply today, and we'll be on page 5 of your interactive notebook. Just like when we talked about demand for the first time, you can see down the left-hand side of your page, you have a series of questions, and then on the right-hand side, you have some boxes to fill in. So each slide will be answering that question, and then the notes will be to fill into those boxes. Let's start off first with our essential question. It's going to be very similar to demand because supply is just the flip side of it. So our essential question for today is, what is the law of supply? What does it tell us? So let's first start off, and again, like I said, a lot of this is going to be very similar. It's going to sound a lot like demand because we're basically doing the exact same thing, but we're flipping it on the other side or taking it from the other perspective. So instead of having the consumer's perspective, today we have the producer's perspective. Ooh. All right, so to have true supply of something, a producer has to have the desire, the ability, and the willingness to sell a good. And I know that sounds weird. Why would a producer need desire, ability, and willingness? Of course they're going to want to have that because they want to sell their product. Yes, of course they want to sell it. But again, remember when we talked about demand and we said that just wanting something isn't true demand. The ability and the willingness to pay for it, that had to factor in to have true demand as well. The same is true of suppliers. Yes, you have the desire to sell it. Yeah, I want to sell stuff and make money. But do I have the ability and willingness? Do I have the ability to set it at a certain price? And am I willing to sell it at a certain price? So producers have to be willing and able to sell it at specific prices. So we want to talk here about quantity supplied and price. You remember with demand, we said that, quantity demanded was at a specific price. The same thing with quantity supplied. Quantity supplied is the amount that producers are willing and able to sell at a specific price. The amount you're able to sell at a specific price, that's your quantity supplied. Our law of supply, it's going to seem a little bit backwards to you and I because we're consumers and we like low prices. Producers, on the other hand, they're greedy. They want to make money. They like high prices. So they want to sell as much as they possibly can at high prices. We have price and quantity demanded are a direct relationship. They're going to follow each other. When we talked about quantity demanded, they had an inverse relationship, meaning one went this way and one went that way. They're opposite. This time around, they're going to be a direct relationship, meaning they both go together. I feel like an air traffic controller or like a flight attendant. Anyway, so they have a direct relationship. So producers want to sell, like I said, at higher prices, sell more stuff at higher prices. So if you fill in your red arrows, and you can just use QS for quantity supplied and P for price, as the price increases, the quantity supplied increases. And vice versa, as the price decreases, the quantity supplied is going to decrease. Again, very backwards to you and I, but again, think as a producer, you want to make as much money as possible. The more that you sell at your highest possible price, the more money you're going to make for your business. Just like with demand, we have a supply schedule and a supply curve. They're going to look very similar, except for the numbers are going to look a little bit different, the way in which they flow. So again, a supply schedule is a table, a chart, a representation, whatever you want to call it, of the total amount of a quantity supplied of a good or a service at a specific price in the market. You'll notice on this, again, as the price decreases, the quantity is decreasing. As the price is increasing, the quantity is increasing. Did I say that right? As the price decreases, the quantity is decreasing. As the price increases, the quantity is increasing. I think I said it right. Then we also have a supply curve. Notice this time it's going the opposite direction. Remember demand, we started, if you take our hand again, demand started up here and then sloped downwards. Now supply is starting down here and sloping upwards. Because again, as the price increases, the quantity increases. So if this was 0 down here, If we take our price way up here, on here we got $32 for movie tickets. We're going to supply as many as we can way over here because we want to get as many people as possible to buy them. So a supply curve, just like a demand curve, now it's a graph that shows the quantity producers are going to supply at a specific price. The supply curve, as I said, is always sloping upwards because as the price increases or goes up, producers want to sell more. A movement along the curve, just like with demand, is when we have a change in quantity supplied, and it only occurs due to a change in price. In our next lesson, we're going to talk about the determinants of supply, because just like with demand, that's the phrase of the day, just like demand, we're going to have 6 different factors that go into changing supply of a good that isn't price. So make sure this is all in your interactive notebook, and then move on to the next video where we talk about the determinants of supply. We'll see you then. Thanks for watching.